Hi you guys. Let's talk about above ground beds today. My friend Keith on YouTube asked me about the above ground beds that we made. So here we are looking at the above ground beds and we'll talk about them. Those back there, those long ones, those three are 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old. They're old. This one here is about 5 years old. This one is 4 years old, and I know that because I did a video on how we filled the bed. But at that time, my video skills were shit, so I didn't do any talking. All I did was filming. So let me talk to you about the beds. First off, you'll notice this has got silver metal. This has green. The reason this has green is because this was all found material. Free material off of eBay, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, etc. This, I believe, we bought, but we bought it again used. This was free. So how do we make these? So many people will put the wood supports inside of the planter. We just didn't like that idea, and we thought that it wouldn't hold as steady, and we may need more pieces of wood if we were to do that. So you can see the corner pieces here are 4x4. It's all pressure treated. We've got what, a 1x2 here, or 2x2, 2x4, 2x4, and again the 4x4 with the small kind of like furring, well, thick. Yeah, it's a 2x2, 2x2 to hold it together. Along the sides, again, this is that same 4x4 on the corner, 2x4, 4x4, 2x4, 4x4. We do have a piece of wood, pressure-treated wood at the bottom. After using this for a while, I mean, I see the need. It's to keep the water, or excuse me, the dirt from inside coming out. The metal here actually sits like, past onto the ground, and so this is keeping it up and in place. I do need to maintain these, however, so I need to constantly scrape mud and dirt off, well, not constantly, a couple times a year, just to make sure they stay in pretty good condition. This is roofing metal, just roofing metal. So the inside of it, you can see, is white. The outside is green. These three beds are pretty darn big. They're about 11.5 feet, and I like 36 inches wide. I think these are just shy of that. They're not quite that wide, and the reason is so I can sit here and then reach at least into the middle. That's what you want, to be able to sit on one side and reach at least into the middle. If you can't reach into the middle, it's too wide. If you can reach all the way over, it might be too narrow, but whatever. It is what it is. It could be wider, but that would be a lot of dirt, a lot of weight. These beds over here are made in a very similar manner. But we didn't have 4x4s, so we did 2x4, 2x4. See, this one's nailed. And still again with the board on the bottom. So basically, what we did is we just put wood to hold the metal in place. And this is the untreated sheeted metal. You can see on the inside it's actually starting to rust. It's not galvanized. So maybe it is galvanized. I don't know. I know, before you start telling me about poison and I'm killing myself by having the painted and I don't care. So just don't talk to me about that. The top has, again, a 2x4, just like all of these do. These are untreated. This is extra lumber we just had laying around. These are treated. So that's how we built them. Let me know if you have any particular questions about that. Like I said, this is about 11.5 feet long, just shy of 3 feet wide. These are more box-like. They're about, I think I actually wrote it down, 8 feet long and 40 inches wide, which is a nice length for me to be able to sit on the corner and reach into the middle, and I can't really reach that far, so that gives me more gardening space here. So you look at these and you say, God, that takes a lot of dirt, right, to fill these. How much soil did you use? I have no idea how much soil I used. But what I did do is followed kind of a modified Hugelkulture method, which means the bottom of each of these units is full of logs, rotting logs, big limbs, stumps, leaves, whatever yard debris. There's food compost in there. Anything I could get my hands on that would rot is in the bottom of that bed. And we prefer to fill it up about halfway to 2/3 of that way of the depth of the bed with that material. Then we only have to use, maybe 1/3 as much soil as we normally would use. So we did that, put all that rotting material in there, covered it up with compost that we bought from the water treatment plant. Right now it's $10 a yard. I just looked it up. And what the compost is from the water treatment plant is humanure. Before you freak out, they send it out to be tested, and it has 0 pathogens in it and they test each load that comes out for use. So what they do is they capture the solid materials from the wastewater, and then they compost it for a year, and it's all on the up and up. So $10 a yard, you can't beat that. So we put in another 8 inches of that, and then the top 6 inches is regular soil, and that's much, much more expensive, right? I don't even know how much that is a yard right now. So logs, rotting material, compost from the water treatment plant, soil, like a 3-way soil on the top to plant. And so now what happens, you can see when I first filled it, it was all the way up to here, and you're gonna get settling out. When that stuff in the bottom rots, everything drops. So every year I come in and I add more material that will compost, grass clippings, leaves, etc. And then every about 2 years I come in and I top it up with either more compost from the water treatment plant and soil, or just soil. So actually all of them, I think I topped up the year before last. So they're due again. I'll do it in the fall. This one has settled quite a bit, you can see. And then so has this one. But the plants, obviously, look, they're doing great. They're thriving in this soil mixture. And so, it's really that easy. But, let's go look at a different kind of a raised bed. Maybe if you have a smaller space, this might suit you better. This is my dog, Sarah. And this is what I wanted to show you. These are watering troughs. We've talked about these a number of times. But it is an above ground. It's a raised bed, right? So you can pick up a watering trough, animal watering troughs, from farmers, ranchers, often when they're broken and unrepairable. But you want holes in the bottom of it, right? You want to have drainage. So if it's broken to them, that's their trash is your treasure. These happen to be here when we bought the house. So I plant them. I get 4 different crops out of each of these beds, and I don't really have to do much. So the first one is daffodils. They're all coming up. You can see I've got a bunch planted here, and they're miniatures, so they're already blooming. So I get the daffodils. They're full of asparagus. So the asparagus will come up too. That one on the end is onion. So I use that for all my chive and green onion needs. So once the daffodils die, the asparagus comes up. Once the asparagus dies, I plant my tomatoes and my tomatillos in these beds. But I do the same thing. I put a little tiny Hugelkulture in the bottom, limbs instead of logs, rotted material, and then that compost from the water treatment plant, and then topped it with soil. And these I fill every year because they're so small. When they sink, they really sink. So that's one kind of another kind of a raised bed. Different kind of watering trough. This is a galvanized metal one. It just has a decorative palm in it. And I've got a couple more up front. This is another kind of raised bed I have. Sarah's over there eating some grass. These are those old laundry tubs. Remember in your grandma's basement, the washing machine would drain into one side and the other side was for hand washing? These things, oh my God, they weigh like 800 pounds, and I've schlepped them around to 4 houses now. I think I'm done moving them, but they make an awesome above ground or raised bed or container garden. They already have drainage in them because they were for laundry, so they've got drainage holes in them. And I don't know if you would consider pots an above ground raised bed, but in essence it is, right? It's just a super small one. Well, some of them are tiny. Some of them are pretty big. You know, I don't know how big this is, but it's pretty big, and I have even bigger pots. So this works as well as an above ground raised system. If you need pots, you've got them, and they're easily moved around. Well, I don't know how easy. Oh my gosh, I think that weighs about 40, 50 pounds. Just another look at the big, large raised beds, which is really what Keith was interested in. So let me know if you have any questions. These are all the raised beds that I have. And next video, we're going to talk about trimming blueberries in the blueberry patch. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. See you later.